Hey everybody. People always ask me, Manny, what tools should I be using for my Amazon business? Well, this episode is brought to you by helium10.com. These are the same tools I use to generate 6 figures per month with Amazon FBA. I get keyword research, product tracking, listing optimization, search term tracking, account monitoring, and a lot of other brand new money pulling tools that are going to be released to Helium 10 members on a regular basis. If you're going to grab any tools, check these out. Seriously, get a massive advantage with the tools that top sellers are using right now. Okay, and they're all in one place. Some tools and services will have a user cap, so get in there as quickly as you can. That's helium10.com, helium10.com.
Warning, the following podcast has been classified as insanely lucrative. Listener discretion is advised.
Stack up 100 or 10 of those, and you're making 100 or 200 sales a day. That's fantastic. With a good profit margin, that's your full-time job and then some.
Right.
You're the richest kid in the block then.
Your attention, please. Listening to the AM/PM podcast may cause recurring revenue streams and unfair advantages over your competitors. Other side effects may include fatter wallets, fired bosses, and longer vacations. Listen at your own risk. Here's your host, 7-figure entrepreneur and online marketing madman, Manny Coates. Manny Coates.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the AM/PM podcast. My name is Manny Coates, and I will be your host, and this is the show where we discuss how to generate recurring revenue streams 24 hours per day during the AM and the PM, hence the name of the show, AM/PM Podcast. As a matter of fact, I was just trimming the beard, a little manscaping, and while I was doing that, shaving off those little facial hairs, I was making money. How cool is that? Pretty cool, I think. So today's episode is an interview with Ryan Bredemeyer from HelloProfit. He's one of the co-founders, and it's a really cool software tool to really check what kind of profit levels you actually are getting with Amazon FBA. And we're going to talk about that in a little bit. But before we got into that, we started talking about sourcing in China. And the guy has just a wealth of information regarding the topic. So I decided to split this interview into 2 parts. The first part, which is the one you're listening to right now, will be all about sourcing from China, different things you can do, really cool topics that I haven't heard anybody discuss before. And then in part 2, we're going to be talking about a hijacker situation that he's run into that was just mind-boggling, and then go into HelloProfit and how I use it and all the cool things you can do with it. So anyways, without further ado, let's get into this interview. I hope you enjoy it. I think it's pretty awesome. Let's go. I am here with Ryan Bredemeyer, one of 2 co-founders of HelloProfit, him and Nikisha Mohammed. Did I get that correct?
That's
Ryan?
right. You got it.
Awesome. So we have a lot of cool things to talk about. And Ryan, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, thanks, Manny. It's a pleasure being here to speak on your podcast here today. It's a real honor and a privilege. Nikisha and I, we're both co-owners of HelloProfit, as you said, and we'll maybe talk about that some more later if we get into it. And before that, the reason actually we built HelloProfit was because we're firstly Amazon sellers as well. And so we developed, different systems. It came, grassroots. It came from spreadsheets and, our own blood, sweat, and tears to crunch our numbers together. We finally figured out, because Nikisha is a world-class developer, she could really wrap this stuff and package it into a system. So that's actually where HP came from. But, firstly, we're Amazon sellers, love coming up with, innovative things, building new brands, and growing the empire. I have partnerships with her and other folks that just love to go into business and do great things.
That's awesome. So how long have you been actually selling you're selling as an FBA seller. How long have you been doing that?
This is my 3rd year selling on Amazon now.
Oh, wow. Okay, so quite a while. And you and Nikisha have been partners since the beginning, or is this something that developed later on?
Actually, about halfway through or so, I'd say. Last couple of years here, Nikisha and I have went in together. And I was in an SEO business before that. She was making websites. Actually met her husband in line at the Apple store waiting for one of the iPhones.
Oh, nice.
And it was a really providential happening. We stumbled across each other that way, and worked in different business before that, and then just through great conversations, got into business on Amazon as well.
Awesome. So I know that the listeners would really like to know, what kind of volume are you guys doing on a monthly basis just on your FBA business?
Sure. Well, I got a bunch of different brands and companies on Amazon, so it's multiple hundreds of thousands a month. When you add it all together. So yeah, it's definitely doing well.
Yeah, those are some big numbers. And do you mind me asking how many SKUs you guys have? Do you know off the top of your head?
I don't know if it's around 40 or something like that all told, maybe
Wow.
50.
Okay,
Yeah.
it's a good number. Do you guys have this all under a single seller central account, or are you doing what a lot of people are doing and spreading these things out?
Oh yeah, these are totally different assets. I'm in business with Nikisha. I'm in business with other folks too. As I said, I love to build solid partnerships because what you come up with is so much greater than the sum of the parts. In my experience together. So yeah, I have legitimate business need to have multiple seller accounts open, which has the happy double effect, of mitigating risk and spreading that risk out over those different brands and accounts.
Okay, great. Well, I know we talked briefly. There were a few subjects that we thought would be pretty cool to talk about. And you had talked about the Canton Fair, some hijacking stuff. And then, of course, I definitely want to get into your software suite, especially HelloProfit, since it's so awesome. But
Thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome. I'd like you to kind of take it from here. Where do you want to start?
Oh, gosh, yeah, there's so many great things to talk about. I was, a few months back, I was at the Canton Fair. Maybe a number of you, a lot of you may have been there before. A lot haven't. Something that's kind of intimidating, at least it was for me. It's 200 or 300 football fields of of booths, and Chinese people, most of whom don't, speak my language. So pretty intimidating thing. Went to some great groups, though. Got some powerful tips. Some stuff I thought I might be able to pass along and possibly help you to implement without going to the fair itself. So kind of the virtual Canton Fair idea.
Okay.
That I've been hoping to share a little bit about that. A lot of it has to do simply with the way that you interact with other human beings. The Chinese are really relationally driven. You may have heard some of this before. Different podcasts of folks coming on talking about that. But if you try to step out of your shoes and into the shoes of those that you might be communicating to, say via Alibaba, they get a lot of requests. And Americans are kind of known to be demanding, belligerent, rude. And if you're able to stand out as the bright shining star of the Americas, if you're the one that actually asks them how they're doing, how's their day going, where are you from, and what's cool about your region, or what can I learn about you? If you just take a couple minutes and try to get to know them on a bit more of a personal level, you'll find something. Well, you'll find a totally different supplier on the other end of that Skype chat than you might otherwise. And so, it kind of, if you think about it, pretend you were in person with that supplier. What sorts of things might you ask? You may notice something about them, or maybe they have their daughter with them in the booth, or who knows what. You might ask about them and initiate things on a more human sort of level and approach. The Chinese deeply respect that, and they take you in almost as family as soon as they feel you're one of them or part of their culture. And so if you can just translate that into the e-world and try to mimic some of that personal touch and some of that interaction, asking about themselves and what matters to them, you may find over the internet, as I have been subsequently, similar things that I was able to accomplish over at the fair. Things that you normally can only accomplish at the fair because they see you and they believe in you and trust you, and you're really there. You came across the ocean to be with them, and they honor that. So they will oftentimes open up special cabinet, or they'll pull a curtain aside underneath their desk and show you some other products, some new things that are coming out, some things that are truly hot or that are about to become hot perhaps in your market. And they wouldn't have done this should you have been, one of those rude, abrupt people that so oftentimes come through their booth and through their Skype channel.
Yeah.
So just being that extra human element can open an opportunity to you, pull the curtain aside, as I like to say, and they'll show you things that most other people don't have access to. and that could translate into a real powerful opportunity for you on Amazon.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I think Americans especially, we want to get straight to the point.
Right.
You got them on Skype and you're just like, hey, where's my order at? Or
Exactly. It's late at night, right? And you don't, but but for them it's daytime, and they have patience, and they really love it when you do too.
Okay, so do you do this pretty much on a daily basis? Do you start out your conversation when you're starting your day with them and just say, hey, how's your day going? Or is it
I really try to. I'm human and American too, though, and I like to get to it. I mean, after you've built up a certain rapport, it's not like you have to stroke them every single time you talk to them. But those few minutes, I've gotten so many different compliments from them over time, saying, "Wow, you are not like other Americans. You're very friendly. We like to work with you." And it's not because I spent a whole lot of time, really. It's just those simple pleasantries go so far.
Yeah.
So I can't underscore that enough.
When are the dates, for those that don't know what the Canton Fair is and what the dates are? Do you want to mention that?
The Canton Fair happens twice a year. The first one was in the end of April, and the second one's in the fall in October, I believe. Mm-hmm. So if you go to cantonfair.net, I think it is. Anyway, you can Google it. You'll find those dates. It's a powerful experience. Really can jumpstart you in your Amazon business. It can get you powerfully distracted too.
Yeah, I can imagine. I've been wanting to go. I haven't actually gone out there yet. But how many times have you been now?
Just once. Yeah.
Just once. Was it worth? Yeah. I mean, would you recommend it to all sellers?
Yeah, I mean, all sellers. I don't know. It's a very good thing to do if you can, because it costs a lot to get over there. It's a hassle and a half. But if you're able to really get into somebody's heart over there, and they show you something special behind the curtain, just one thing, if that's one product that you were able to knock out of the ballpark that most other people never have access to, and you wouldn't have otherwise, think about it. That could be tens of thousands of dollars of profit that you might not have otherwise had, and that's a powerful incentive for me, at least, and maybe for you.
Yeah. Well, with that many products or vendors out there, when you've got football fields worth of vendors,
gee whiz.
How do you narrow it down? I mean, are you going in with a kind of a game plan, saying, you know what, I only want to look at very specific niches, or are you do you have an open mind going into it?
Yeah, you know what? There's it's the yin and the yang there. A lot of people recommend that you have specific things or items even that you're looking for, or at least a niche, and then try to hit those areas. And they're giant pavilions that are relevant, to that area. So that's more than you can possibly go and see. If you had a team, maybe you could break it up a bit, kind of all go in with the same game plan and the same notes and the same way. That would be excellent. But I'm actually quite open to selling just about anything that fits certain criteria for me. And so I went with a bit more of a wide eye, and came up with some really cool ideas that I may well have missed had I been looking in a certain niche only. So there's different ways to approach that, but I guarantee you'll get overwhelmed at some point.
Yeah, I can imagine it'd be just crazy. It'd be awesome though, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, what you mentioned that you have certain criteria. What kind of criteria do you look for new products?
I'm generally looking for things that already sell well. I mean, I'm not looking in the top 100 necessarily, because I really am pretty turned off, as most are, with the amount of competition there. But, I like things that sell 10 and 20 a day. That's great. Just stack up 100 or 10 of those, and you're making 100 or 200 sales a day. That's fantastic. With a good profit margin, that's your full-time job and then some.
Right.
You're the richest kid in the block then. So it's just not too hard to accomplish that. You can get 10 products out that are selling 10 and 20 and not have a giant amount of competition on your tail. And so that, then you're in a nice, comfortable position where you can just rinse and repeat and get a team to basically do that for you. You can amass quite a kingdom that way.
Yeah. Do you look for products that you can sell within a specific price range? Is there something that you won't go below or go above?
I used to be more strict on that. I guess recently I'm more open to the higher price range. It's, if you're able to purchase things, it's really based on ROI for me. So you generally shoot for about like 150% if I can do that, regardless of the price range. Man, you got lots of wiggle room. You sell the thing off, you pay it off, and you're able to buy another 1.5 units of in the profit that's left over. That accommodates a lot of slop, a lot of bad math. It accommodates all your advertising, more than likely, and have some cash reserves left over for whatever it is, launching more products. So as long as I'm in those ranges, and that's kind of the trick, is working out that math ahead of time. I really, and as long as it hits that ROI and it has a decent, some decent demand, can't go wrong with a product like that.
Okay, all right. And in terms of the demand, are you researching this after the show when you get back, or is this one of the products you've already done the research on before going in?
I'm usually doing it on the fly. They have Wi-Fi there, or actually their Wi-Fi stinks. So I bought a little Wi-Fi hotspot, which was one of the best things I did. So I was able to, I could have internet anywhere, and then I just go through a VPN. You can get onto Amazon. You can check the thing out right on the spot and figure out, okay, look, that's really cool, but nobody's buying anything like this in the United States, or where are you selling, Europe, and so just pass. Don't waste your time. So, having that, I think it was $120 or something. I bought a Wi-Fi thing there. That one investment saved me so much time and allowed me to get into so many other booths that did fit my criteria, not because I had done the research at home. I couldn't have researched it because I didn't know it existed, but I was able to make that decision fast and move on to the next booth.
So that's awesome. So you mentioned you're buying this. Is it a Wi-Fi card with VPN of some kind, or this is something you buy when you get there?
You can do either way, but I bought it when I got there, pay-as-you-go thing. I had like 16 gigs or something, and it was way more than enough. I was there for 2 weeks, and so I could look up stuff on the fly and make good decisions right away instead of because I never heard of the product before. And I thought maybe it'd be popular in the States, spend 30 minutes in the booth learning all about it and talking to them, only to go to the hotel room that night and find out that its BSR is like 200,000. Well, you wasted 30 minutes of your precious day over in China.
Right.
So, same kind of thing you do, here in the States. You find some neat opportunity. You want to check right away and see if it's going to sell or not before you take any time reaching out to the supplier about it.
Okay. Now, I've thought if I go, and I was curious, I'll ask you this. Is it better do you even need a translator? Is it worth hiring somebody to go with you so that you can talk to booths where they just don't speak English? And maybe that kind of gets rid of some of the competition because people wouldn't be able to talk to them from the States?
You know what? Actually, here, I'll tell you, I think it's a good idea to have a translator, but for maybe different reasons than I thought originally. I was there for 2 weeks. The first phase I was there, I did not have a translator and was able to negotiate just fine with them and actually there was no barrier. They got to see my kind of fun personality. I smiled at them and it was face to face. All right. And so I think that any language barrier that was there, we could mime it out or write, numbers down on a page, or with enough gestures and smiles, we got the point across quite well. The second week I was there, I had a translator every day, which actually insulated me, I felt, from the experience of operating with these folks. And now the translator had a good experience with them, and of course in Chinese, and it was very fluid, and I got maybe more data out of them on the spot, but I didn't feel like I don't really remember those people as much as the first phase. So I actually would sort of advise, it's cheap. Things in China are a lot cheaper than here, services and such. So, you could maybe get one for a couple of days and ask them for their fee. They're very deferent, I've found, so they'll treat you like a king. But I asked them to just treat me like one of them, like a normal human, and I asked them for feedback. How am I interacting with the supplier? What faux pas am I making? What did I do right and wrong in the last interaction? And I got some really great feedback. They said, well, actually, now that you bring it up, one of them said, well, remember when they asked you if you've sold these, I don't know what it was, some wicker basket or something before? Have you ever sold this before? And I said, oh, actually, no. It looks like a really great product that I could probably do really well. I could really sell a lot of these in the States. I don't know what it was. And so the translator afterwards said, well, actually, they were testing you right there. They wanted to see if you already have historical sales and a huge demand behind you in the States, they're going to be a lot more interested in working with you and maybe giving you a better deal. That you revealed there, though, that you were brand new in this space, so you're a lot less attractive now.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So these kind of things are with the benefit of the translator more than the actual translation.
Right. So in that scenario, do they expect you? Is it just almost like a part of negotiating where you got to just go in and say, yeah, I have tons of experience selling this stuff and we sell tons of units? Or what's the idea there?
Well, you can look. Their English is broken for sure, so you can get away with not exactly answering their question, and they will likely assume that you misunderstood or they said it wrong or something. Okay, so you can. There's quite a lot of leeway and slop there. You can work to your advantage because you are fluid in English, and so. And there's this really handy element of Chinese culture where I found like they don't ask you a second time. They won't, like, we're persistent, we want to get to the bottom of something, and we're rude if we have to be to get the objective done, but they don't. They're too respectful, so they won't. If you skirt it once, you're generally clear.
Oh, interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's good. And so how many SKUs have you added just from that visit, would you say?
Oh gosh. Well, I mean, I really wish it was a lot more. I think we were on 2 or 3 so far. I mean, it really. I'm generally, working for my HelloProfit project, so that's kind of the daily grind. But I do have, a team that's or a team that I've working on developing, to help me launch products and stuff like that. So they're definitely looking into a lot, and I've been training them on doing the same. So so far just a few. But
okay.
there's a ton in the pipeline that they're working on.
And these are products that you wouldn't have found, you don't think, online through Alibaba had you not been at the show?
They may well be there here or there, but I don't think I would have necessarily thought of them, or I might not have thought of them until way later in the game when it was swamped already, or and some that are just literally they're not on Alibaba, so I can't find them online. So that is a great value in going there. Is it like look. Alibaba is fantastic for you and me to see great new products and ideas that I might be able to sell on Amazon and make a profit on. Guess what? It's also great for those Chinese suppliers, competitors, to go and see what items they might swipe and clone and copy to go make a great profit on Amazon. You see the double-edged sword for them there?
Right.
So if they put their great products out there on Alibaba, to you and me, they're also showing their cards to their direct Chinese competitors. So a lot of suppliers do not put their stuff on Alibaba or their best stuff on Alibaba because it's just going to get cloned and swiped right away.
And these copiers, they typically don't show up to the fairs to do that?
Wait, the copying competitors?
Yeah, I mean, if they're going online on Alibaba and they see a product and they go, you know what, we're going to copy this thing. I would think they could just as easily go to the...
They would, and they do, in fact. And that's why they keep stuff behind the curtain. That's why they
Explain that. What does that mean exactly, behind the curtain?
Well, so remember I was talking about really kind of ingratiating yourself with them, the whole relational piece? Okay, once they feel that you're a good person, they trust you, they think they really believe that you're a seller, and you're not just one of their competitors' spies walking around to swipe all their best ideas, then they'll oftentimes show you stuff that's not just right on display in front of everybody's nose there, because they know that their competitors are snooping around just like with everybody else. Wow. And so they're not dummies. They want to protect their best ideas and only show it to people that they think are really going to purchase and really going to build a good business relationship with. They don't want to show it to their competitors. And so putting it on Alibaba is a perfect way to show it out to all their competitors right now.
What a massive difference, right, between, let's say, that and like a CES show in Las Vegas where they have all their best stuff on display because they want to show the cutting edge. Where over there, it sounds like if you want to see the best stuff, they got to make sure you're vetted, so to speak, right? You're
vetted. You nailed it. Exactly. So you can get vetted, over Skype if they. So that kind of leads me to another idea is when you're talking to those suppliers from Alibaba, you can ask them, hey, after you have that good relationship and rapport with you, and you feel that they kind of trust you, do you have anything else that you think might really sell well? Anything new? Anything that you're proud of, or that you might want to that you could share with me? And you'd be surprised what they pull out from behind the curtain, as it were.
Yeah.
There's really neat things. It's a special trick, but you kind of need to have been a human being to them first, and it's kind of only fair.
Yeah, well, that's very interesting. Yeah, I've talked to people that go to the shows, but they've never discussed this. So this is cool. So, yeah. And do you typically go? You're staying for multiple days, is that right?
Yeah, I was there for like 18 days. I missed my little guy like crazy and my sweet wife. Man, that's tough.
Yeah, I can imagine. Do you go back to the same booth then on multiple days just to kind of build that rapport, or is it just one time? Once you've done it, get the information and you're out?
It's all up to you. It's a great idea. Other people I know have talked about that concept, and I won't steal their thunder. But shoot, if you have a good thing going, and you come back a second time, then that just like another impression, like another ad impression, it gets you remembered, and they know you really care. Same time, that takes away precious minutes that you might be way across the fair in another pavilion making a new relationship. It's all up to you.
Yeah. Are you customizing any of this stuff, or is it, or are you just kind of buying it and stamping your logo on it? What's the process there for you?
Yeah, I usually customize something. It's harder to hijack that way, and generally I want to get a superior product. I want to read the reviews and figure out what was wrong, and then reverse engineer them a little bit and make it better, so that mine will be the new dominant product in that niche, within a certain amount of time.
Okay. And do you have that supplier ship the products out for you, or do you handle that third party?
Yeah, I've been all over the map on this, and I do it in different ways. I generally, once I've got a good relationship with a supplier, let's say you have a good say you've been to the factory and you ate dinner with them and their wife and their kids, and they really like you, gosh, I really believe you can trust them at that point, to provide superior product, that they take a lot of care in production and packaging and shipping. They want to please you, especially now that you're a real person to them and have a relationship with them. They're going to want to do all the best for you so that you come back as a repeat customer. I know a lot of people, just won't ship anything without a third party involved and checking everything over. But you can actually save a lot. If it does require some trust, but I've had really good luck, good experiences with building relationships and then trusting the supplier to provide great service, and they have. So that's what I've done.
And they'll handle everything. So the logistics of getting it from their factory to Amazon or to your warehouse out here, they handle everything for you?
I mean, now I have also freight forward and stuff like that. If I'm shipping by sea and stuff like that, they're you have somebody else in between there. Mm-hmm. They'll oftentimes have their own freight forwarders, but I like to use my own in that sense. Just so it's always the same, supplier to supplier.
Yeah, I know a lot of our listeners and the members of our FBA High Rollers group over on Facebook are always asking for referrals or recommendations for freight forwarders. Do you have anybody off the top of your head that you'd like to recommend?
I don't.
I'm putting you on the spot here.
No, I don't think.
You're
a
secret.
I'll give it away right now.
Okay, you're a secret freight forwarder.
Yeah, very secret.
All right.
No, I can get with you on that later, perhaps.
Okay.
There was one other cool idea though that I could share. So this was, I don't know how this came up, but it actually was with a couple of my friends, colleagues that co-own one of my brands. So we're always trying to get, this tug of war where you want to get the best price for your product. At the same time, you don't want to push them too hard, because they will go lower and they'll give you an inferior product or materials or something, right? They're not going to put themselves out of business as you push them too hard. But they do have a sort of economies of scale, set up in their operations too. So oftentimes I found that they're not necessarily all that creative, and they don't think of this on their own, but they're like, oh, if you buy 10,000 units, we can give you a substantially better price. It's just a lot easier for them to produce a ton at a lower price. But who wants to start with a 10,000 unit order? It's just, not attainable for most. So not even smart. So something that I have done though is, okay, look, how about this? Let's place an order for the 10,000. Maybe this is the second order once you've maybe proven that the product is going to go well. Let's do the 10,000 order, but would you do it such that, I pay you the 30% up front, like they oftentimes require, or whatever that percentage is that you've negotiated, on the whole 10,000, but then only ship 2 or 4 or 5,000 of them, when they're ready, and I'll pay you the 70% on that. And you warehouse the rest of it, and I'll pay you the 70% on those portions as we ship those, down the pike. So that's been a creative way, and they've almost always said yes to that, because they're very excited to have a larger order, and they got your deposit, which may well cost the goods unit, the cost of the raw materials or whatever. Mm-hmm. So they're not out anything. They secured a much bigger order. They have a promise of future payment, another big hunk, that 70% down the line, it's kind of a win for them. And on our side, we get a lower unit price from the start. So it really is a win-win.
Yeah, that's a really interesting idea. And when you do that, Ryan, does it, if you're ordering, let's say out of that 10,000, you say, ship me the first 1,000, and then later on you want another 1,000. Do you have to wait? Let's say the turnaround time for the initial 1,000 was 30 days for them to build it or to do it. Does it take that long, or do they have everything pretty much ready and they're just stored and ready to ship?
Yeah, that's the beauty of it, is now you have like on-demand units that have already been, you can cut out that whole lead time. It's just whatever it takes to ship. So if you need it by air, well, they can ship it out tomorrow. It's sitting on a warehouse. They're excited to get their, as soon as they get their money, they'll ship it. So yeah, it's a really, really handy. It takes a little bit more cash up front, obviously. But by the time you get through 10,000 units, boy, you've really saved a ton, and which is all, pure profit.
Yeah. Have you found that if you're negotiating a price, let's say 2,000 units, and they say, this is the best price that we have, right? You get that all the time. This is the best price. And then you jump to a big number like 10,000. Is there a good amount of wiggle room there? Are they able to come down, or have you seen sometimes it just doesn't matter once you go over a certain number?
It's all over the place.
Is it?
But they oftentimes there will be a significant drop. But the fact of the matter is they have a lot of wiggle room most of the time. Like I pushed one guy really hard, and he was like, he was really pleading with me to not push it. I was like, well, I think we're their biggest purchaser, customer of a certain thing. He was just begging me, I really can't go any lower. Well, then we found another supplier who seemed to be able to make the same exact thing. So I said, oh, look, I told him, look, we got this other guy over here, and they're going to do it actually like $1 less, $1, and it was like $4 or $5 per unit. So so I really enjoyed working with you all this time, but I'm afraid we're going to have to move our production over there. Oh, no problem. We can accommodate. So while it sounded like he was on his hands and knees begging because there's nothing else, no more room for him to squeeze out anything else, there was plenty.
Yeah.
So they're smarter than
they find ways. Yeah. So, and that's one of the things that I just realized. I had a particular product. I couldn't get the guy to come down any lower. And so I said, you know what? I'm going to start reaching out to some other suppliers that have contacted me in the past. I had my initial 3 or 4 companies that sent me samples, and I picked the one that I liked the best, and I went with that company. But there was still like half a dozen other companies that I ultimately didn't go through.
Right.
And I reached out to them, and sure enough, just on a whim, one of them looked pretty good. I had them send all the photos, and I had them send the product. And they're just like you said, they're about $1 a unit less on a product that was costing me about $4.
Wow, yeah, that's a huge product.
Yeah, it's humongous, and it was pretty much the same product. And now I'm like, unfortunately, I had just placed an order with the other company for a large number. Yeah, I already put my deposit and everything. But you're right, it happens, right?
It does, yeah. But at least, I've lost tens of thousands, a lot over stuff like that. Like they were really happy in the first year we were selling this product to take it for $1 more, right?
Do you feel that you mentioned earlier sometimes if you push them too hard, they can start skimping on the quality? Do you feel that could be the case with this guy if he says, no, I can do it?
Well, I don't think so. Now we've actually dropped it by all that much, and the qualities remain good. So I really think they can do it. It just I have seen it work the other way though too. But this guy knew well that we were a really important customer to him. So we said, look, the other person that's going to do this for this exact same thing, but like $1 less, their quality is excellent. So we're only interested in continuing with you if you can do it at $1 less and the quality remains superb. That's all there is to it. And he got it, and they've simply just shifted the price and provided the same exact product. So they're still profiting, but less.
Perfect. Yeah, you got to use the other suppliers against them for sure.
Yeah.
So, okay. And you mentioned that you customize things. Do you customize things to the extent where you need to create entire new molds or anything like that? Have you done that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've done that. It depends what sort of a product, if it's rubber or blow mold or injection or what exactly you're talking about. But it can be from a couple $100s to several $1,000s or tens of thousands. It depends on what you're looking at.
Yeah, and you do all that out there. You don't do the mold here and then send it out, right? You just find a company out there or the supplier themselves that do it.
You know what? I've never even thought of doing it here. Is that what have you done that or heard of
I
that?
haven't actually done it here. I know that there's companies that do it. I know people that have done it, and they send in all their 3D work and get everything created and sent to them so they can hold it and feel it.
Huh.
And then they, an actual 3D printing of it, I guess you could say.
Okay.
And then they'll send the information over to their supplier and get it going from there. But yeah, the cost
Cool.
of that is several times more expensive than it would be just to do it there. But a lot of times, I think people get frustrated with the communication of it all.
Yeah, yeah. Having just having a Chinese sourcing agent over there is probably one of your best things to do as soon as you have the funds for it. It's just, gosh, all that stuff. They speak English well. You can communicate what you need, and they take it and speak it well in Chinese too on the other side, and things just get done. You work out your own creative payment scale with them, so that they're incentivized to do good work, incentivized to get you good prices, and incentivized to keep finding new products for you. That's going to be, that secret sauce will really help you to kind of blow up your system and be able to cut so much of this out of the middle, which we've spent a lot of time talking about today, if you're going to do it on your own. But they know how to do it a lot better, from China. So.
Okay, yeah, let's talk about sourcing agents, because that's a really cool topic. You have somebody that you found. Well, I mean, where did you find your sourcing agent, first of all?
Let's see. One of my colleagues actually was using one and we now use that person. We use that person now extensively. But the really, if you're at the Canton Fair, oh my gosh, they're throwing themselves at you. So there's zillions of booths that you just can't get by, and there's there's people there that are trying to get your business. They're generally part of a larger, agency, which isn't all bad, but it's generally twice as expensive because they got to get paid and the agency gets paid. So so I've heard of people that are doing like 7 and 10% commissions to these agents, against the actual cost of the order. Say it was $10,000 order, okay, $700 or $1,000 goes to the agent for every single order, first and future.
Oh, wow.
So that's extremely generous. So that agent, man, once they get a few products up and rolling, they kind of got it made.
They're retired. Yeah.
Yeah, it can become a huge thing. Yeah, I mean, and some people that know they're fine with it because their margins are good. So they can afford that, and they keep their sourcing agent like the happiest guy on the planet. And what do you know? That agent does outstanding work for them. They just can put out so many products. It's great, but there's something in me that just it's just not just like, okay, the first time, sure, I don't mind compensating you well. You took a lot of time, find the right solution, all that. But I don't want to pay you that same percentage, on the 17th order. All you're doing is sending them an email and some labels, right? So I don't want to pay you 10% forever. It's ridiculous. So, you can make your own kind of sliding scale or cap it here, or, the first this many orders, you get this rate, and then it goes to this. I've been trying to come up with ways to keep them incentivized to, get the new one out and to help you to keep growing.
Okay, and is it pretty standard then for it to be a percentage, or can you just pay them a flat fee, like an hourly or daily or just a commission off of each one they find?
Well, I mean, I think there's all kinds of things out there, and if you're working with a free agent, the world's your oyster. You can kind of work with them. If they're part of an agency, then you're usually locked into what the agency says has to be. But there's probably even some negotiation there. I don't know. I'm not an expert there.
Yeah.
But you can work it out. I like to find kind of the independent people because they're the ones that own their own agency. So now you can work it out with them and find something that works for you both.
Do you have any recommendations where somebody who's listening now could go to start researching and looking for a supplier? That's not going to
it's tough
to China. Yeah.
I'd probably go to Google because I know that they're definitely available. Just if you research, another colleague of mine did some research that way and found a really good one. And then if you find one really good one, you can. They probably have some friends, and then you just kind of got to break the hole, and then you can get great referrals one to another.
How does that work exactly? I don't use a sourcing agent, so I don't have as many SKUs as you do. I have just over a dozen, but
Sure.
if I'm going to expand and I want to try to outsource some of my hours, it might be good if I have a sourcing agent for them to start finding specific products. Do you just kind of give them some basic guidelines and pricing and then let them start? I guess they have their own databases and stuff they go through to find a factory.
Yeah, they have. Well, look, all sourcing agents aren't created equal. So like you're going to find like somebody is going to be really well versed in some niche. That's generally how it works. They're not like, I used to think it was just, oh, they know China, they know Chinese, they know the culture, they can source anything. Well, no, they have some background. They used to work in an automotive area, or they used to do something in home goods or so ideally you'd have a team of sourcing agents that, they're all working within the niche and in the connections of people that they know in China that provide that sort of a textile or whatever it is. But shy of that, if you can, but just like you and I could source anything we need to right now, sure, any sourcing agent can source anything for you right now too, and probably better. You're just asking them to source outside of their specialization, right? So,
right. Yeah, and I imagine it also, they have the advantage, especially being over there and speaking the language, when you think you're dealing directly with a factory, you might not be, right? It might be a trade company. And these guys would be able to say, yeah, you know what? The deal that you just negotiated with that factory isn't actually a factory. It's a trade company.
Okay, fair enough. That's true. And so at the same time, I just learned this recently while I was there. Just because it's not always bad that it's a trade company. I learned that there are some factories that they don't have export license at all. They have manufacturing license either. They don't do that. So they partner with another company, a trade company, which might be just across the street or whatever, and then they work exclusively through them, and so that trade company has the export license, and it's the legitimate way to work with that factory. So it's not always a horrible thing that you're working with a trade company. I used to always discount it, but generally though, if something looks like the everything store on Alibaba, then it really is the everything store, and you don't want to work with them usually.
Okay, yeah, interesting. All right, because I think everybody's been kind of taught, hey, stay away from trade companies because the cost is just going to be more expensive because they've got to mark it up. But
well, there is some markup, but shy of finding that factory in China yourself, if you want to launch that product, you got to go through them because they're the ones that export it.
Yeah, and I have dealt with trade companies. Mm-hmm. They usually will have a rep that speaks very good English, or at least a lot better than some of the factories, so that helps out.
Yeah, and you know what? If the numbers work for you, and you're also making them happy, there's nothing wrong with that. You know?
Yeah, that makes
sense. Launch it anyways. That's great.
Cool. All right, so we talked about a lot of things here related to sourcing overseas. Anything that we haven't talked about? You want to talk about? Are you good?
I'm good. Thanks.
You're good. All right. Cool. All right, guys, that is the end of part 1. I hope you found at least one golden nugget out of there. I think there were quite a few. There was even at least one for myself. So hopefully, again, there was one for you. And we're going to continue this in part 2 of the interview with Ryan. I think you guys will want to hear what he says next. And we're going to be talking about hijackers and his software, HelloProfit. So check that out in the next episode. And I'll see you in there. By the way, guys, if you're new to this podcast, this is your first time here, definitely check me out over on Periscope. That's at Manny Coates, And check out the website, okay? You can get all the podcasts there. We post a lot of links. The show notes for everything we talk about are there. That's at ampmpodcast.com, right? AMPM as in morning and night. ampmpodcast.com. And there's also a link in the top right corner that will take you to our Facebook group, approaching 7,000 subscribers, and it's really cool. Get in there. It's by approval, and we'll get you approved, and you can communicate with all the FBA high rollers. If you want to go directly to Facebook and do a search, you can do a search for FBA high rollers, and then you'll find us there, and you can join. Anyways, we'll see you in the next episode, and if you like this, please do leave me a rating, a review on iTunes. I would greatly appreciate it. Take care.
You've been listening to the AM/PM podcast hosted by Manny Coates. For more information, insider tools, and to get the resources mentioned in this episode, visit ampmpodcast.com.